What's up, everybody? I'm Marco Messina.
And I'm Michael Cantaros.
And today we have a special guest with us on Italian Football TV. We've been trying to get him on for a long time. You guys absolutely know him and love him. Matteo Bonetti, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, that's propaganda, Marco. This is the first time you reached out to me and I came on within an hour.
I know, Matteo is the best, but I'm saying us, Michael and I, we didn't feel like we deserved to get you on until we got to this point. So that's why we're saying we finally wish to get you on. Unfortunately, it comes as a little bit of a strange time right now. We brought you the news a few hours ago with Gigio Donnarumma, the reports saying that he is done with Milan. He will not be renewing his contract. And Matteo, what I want to ask you is, before this news came out, what were your thoughts? And then after you heard this, what did you think?
I think we were all preparing for this news. I think it was inevitable, honestly. When you have an agent like Mino Raiola, you look at all the other players that he's represented, the likes of Ibrahimovic and Paul Pogba and so many others, and you look at their careers, it tends to follow a similar sort of path where every 2-3 years they'll switch clubs, especially with Ibrahimovic, who, you know, some people will say mercenary, and I think that's a bit unfair. I think it's a business, and you know what, he's won everywhere he's gone, so you have to give him incredible respect because of that. But I think the time was coming for Donnarumma. Someone I know very well and trust spoke to Mino Raiola at a party actually a few days ago, and Raiola said without much doubt that he was going to try everything in his power to get Donnarumma to go to Real Madrid. So I still think that that's the most likely destination. We've heard the two Manchester clubs as well being interested, Paris Saint-Germain. But I think Real Madrid, just because of the way that club operates, that even if it's not a position of need, they will sign the best player available. They have Keylor Navas, who's a great goalkeeper, but it doesn't matter. With Donnarumma, you get an elite goalkeeper for the next 2 decades if you're able to hold on to him. So, I mean, we can go into this for so long. Personally, I'm not that gutted about it. I got over it pretty quickly. It was something that I almost expected. I think that because he is a goalkeeper, it doesn't affect the team nearly as much as if it was an integral part somewhere else on the pitch, like an amazing center back or, you know, a world-class striker of that same age.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point and take on it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But yeah, like you were saying, I feel like I didn't expect this at all. I just thought it was Mino Raiola's mind games, like he always does in the past. Were you really that convinced that he was going to go, or you just thought it was like another one of Mino Raiola's
Like, was he just trying to get him a bigger contract? Because that's what I thought at first.
Exactly.
But you know what? This wasn't just Mino Raiola, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter blame him, and you know, Mino Raiola's taken a lot of flack from a lot of Milanisti, as you'd expect. But Gigio Donnarumma, he's 18. That means that in Italy he's allowed to be independent, make his own decisions. He can finally drive, and he can decide on his future. And by all the reports I've seen and read, Mirabelli and Fassone offered Donnarumma a very generous contract extension. Remember, they already bumped him up a year ago after they saw under Mihailovic how good he was. I think what did they give him, a 10-fold contract where I think he was making, what, $1 million?
Yeah, $1 million.
Something like that?
I think so, too.
Or maybe 50,000?
Yeah, I think he went from very low to like $1 million. It was a big jump.
Yeah, he went to a big jump, and I'm sure that the contract renewal, it was probably in the vicinity of, I don't want to speculate, but I'm expecting double or triple what he was making now. So very generous contract for an 18-year-old who's only played top-flight football for a year and a half. And he made the decision, probably getting pressure from Raiola, who is very good at having the ear of his clients, especially one that's impressionable, and who's 18, and who knows what Raiola promised him, probably that he'd get one of the most lavish contracts of anyone under 21, but whatever it was, Donnarumma didn't want to bite, and he knew that he could have been the only real bandiera of Milan, and he chose not to do so, and I have no ill feelings. I think that if I was in a position, or if you were in a position to double or triple your wage and, you know, go to the most storied club in Europe, which is Real Madrid, I think a lot of people would have done the same thing as Donnarumma. Unfortunately, bandiera are a dying breed, and I have absolutely no ill feelings towards him. I think it would be silly and immature to do so. I understand that it's an emotional reaction from a lot of Milan fans, but it's one that's not going to affect the team. The team's going to be a lot better next year. I don't care who's in between the pipes. You can put Blizzari, you can put Storari, you can put Gabriel, you can put anyone. But if the outfield players are significantly better, which they will be, doesn't really matter who the goalkeeper is. Yes, maybe we won't have someone who will make the same kind of saves that Donnarumma did every week, but he's also not going to be facing the same number of shots as Donnarumma did last year. So I'm not really worried for the club. I think it's just an emotional decision that, for fans, that it hurts. It does hurt. If you're a Milan fan, it will. But hopefully you can see that these guys at the top of Milan have a really great idea about the club going forward.
I really like your take on it. It's very thoughtful. A lot of Milan fans, understandably so, waking up to this news or hearing this news, you're offended right away. But I want to take what you said about Mino Raiola, because I saw your tweet saying that, Gigio didn't have a gun to his head. And I agree with you. I think that Gigio he's a kid, yes, but he's also a man, and he can make his own decisions. And if he really wanted to stay at Milan and become this bandiera that a lot of people thought he was going to become, he could have said, listen, Mino, I'm good with the contract that I'm being offered. I'm going to stay at Milan, and that's it. So it's not just... I don't think Gigio's the victim. I think that Gigio knows what he wants to do. He wants to go to Real Madrid, PSG, whoever else we're talking about. And I think that Mino Raiola... you know what you're getting into when you sign a contract with Mino Raiola. This is what he does. He gets the best for his clients, and that's it.
But I do feel like he took him under his wing, as if like Donnarumma, not saying he was being controlled or anything, but I do feel like Mino Raiola did do most of the decision making on this,
I don't
more
agree.
than Donnarumma.
I don't know. I think that Donnarumma, he thinks for himself. He thinks for himself. The thing that I find strange with Donnarumma, and I want to hear your perspective on this, Matteo, how he said the other day that he's looking for a place in Milan. Milan is in my heart. Yeah. We've seen him kiss the badge. We've heard over and over that he's going to stay at Milan. And that's a little bit hurtful to me, because I feel like, you're a Milan fan, you hear that, you want to believe what he's going to say. Same thing happened with Pogba at Juventus. Same situation, said, I'm going to stay, kiss the badge, this and that. Matteo, what do you think about that? A few days ago saying he was going to stay, he's going to buy a place, and now seems like he's leaving.
I don't buy anything that players say anymore. Kaká said the same thing, and Kaká is one of the most classy players that you'll find anywhere and a standout guy. We heard the same things from Galliani over and over again about players. Maybe he is buying a house. Maybe it's a holiday home. He's got family there. So, maybe he does need a home for his weekend trips, or weekday trips, rather, coming back from Real Madrid, which is only a short hop on the plane, about an hour or so, an hour and a half. So, whatever he said, I don't take it literally. I know how, the inner workings of football, things can change so quickly, and you don't know what was said inside the meetings. Maybe Milan's offer was nowhere near what he was told, what Donnarumma told it was going to be. Maybe there were some things in the contract that aren't what he thought he would be getting, but the fact that he went there, I think he went there with an open mind, but in the end, he probably has some assurances from Raiola saying, I promise you at this club I can get you this much a year. And whatever that amount was, I think it was a lot higher than what Milan were ready to pay, which was still a generous offer. But, even for the Chinese ownership and all this money being pumped into the club, it's still very difficult to compete with some other clubs in Europe. And you just have to accept it. And just one last note on this, guys, or not. I mean, we can go on and on, and there's so much to talk about. But Blizzari, I think that's one of the reasons why Milan can let Donnarumma go a bit easier, is that they have Alessandro Blizzari on the bench. A year ago, Galliani said behind the scenes that this kid is every bit as good as Donnarumma. I believe it. I've heard the same throughout Milanello. Everyone's very high on Blizzari. So, you let Donnarumma go, you get a ton of money for him. You get someone who's actually a year younger than him, who's already getting experience with the Italy under-20 side and played wonderfully well in the shadows. So, you know what? Have Blizzari as your number 2. Have a veteran to play as a number 1. I make the example of someone like Andrea Consigli, who's a very good goalkeeper. You have him in between the pipes. He's not going to do any damage. You have a much better defense in front of him. Milan's not going to suffer. It's going to be a much better team next season.
That's a good point, and that's the one guy that everyone's talking about right now, and also the media. That was one of the things I had listed. Is Blizzari big enough to start out with Milan right now? Is he good enough at that level? And we're hearing reports of Neto and Pepe Reina. Do you think that it's going straight past Neto and Reina and going straight to Blizzari?
Yeah, they're definitely. No, I don't think Blizzari is going to start. I think it's going to be someone with a lot more experience. But then again, I'm hoping to get proved wrong because no one thought Donnarumma was going to come in for Diego Lopez 2 years ago, and he did so, and he finished up the season. Diego Lopez didn't get a sniff on the pitch. So I expect Milan. I don't think Gabriel is good enough. I think even the time he got with Cagliari on loan, he seems very mistake-prone, Gabriel. And there was a bit of hope, I think, a few years ago that Gabriel would be the future of the goalkeeping position for Milan. Storari's just there to nurture the youngsters, make coffees at halftime, and basically just, by all accounts, he's a great locker room presence. So Storari's just there for that. I don't think Storari's going to be the starter, but he's great. Person to have in the locker room, so I'm glad that Storari's there. Abbiati's coming back in a managerial role, so I think one more signing at the goalkeeping position would be pretty obvious for Milan, and hopefully it would be a veteran right in his prime who costs a few million. And you can get look around Serie A. There's so many good goalkeepers there. You can even someone like Skorupski, who was excellent at Empoli, Wojciech Szczesny, Neto, Mirante, Consigli. There's so many. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, that's a good point that you said. There's a lot of good goalkeepers. Also, Catanese is another one for
Michael's Greek, so anytime he has to plug Catanese, he does.
He's great, Catanese.
He is.
Alex Meret, another one, guys.
Yeah.
The under-21 coach said Meret is the best goalkeeper he's coached, even better than Donnarumma. He was at Spal that season. He's coming back to Serie A.
Yeah, Napoli's actually looking at him too, so it'll be fun to see who is Milan going to have for next season. Talent. But the big thing is, do you think they're going to let Donnarumma go for free, let him stay in the season on the bench, let him go for free, or sell him now, and how much is he worth?
The latest Sky reports, by the way, before you comment on this, are saying that he's actually going to stay on the bench. So if we believe the reports, Matteo, what do you think?
Wow, I mean, if they do keep him, then he leaves for free next season. I think that would be very silly.
Yeah.
Gosh, how much is he worth? You know what's crazy about the transfer session is that if someone said 70 million euro, I wouldn't flinch. If someone said 40, I wouldn't flinch. I have absolutely no idea what anyone's worth.
True.
I don't think anyone does. It's so difficult to predict that sort of number now because everything's so wildly outrageous. But definitely think Milan should cash in now, especially if they know that his future is elsewhere. What's the point of keeping him on the bench and then you get him you get zero for the next summer?
Matteo, that's funny that you say that because we just filmed a video about Verratti talking about how much he is worth, and I was thinking, I remember when Kaká went to Real Madrid and he was one of the highest paid transfers ever. What was it, like 45 or 50 million euros?
Yeah.
Now, freaking that price is nothing.
You can't even get Perisic for 45 million.
It's crazy. It's crazy. The prices are nuts. And yeah, they were talking about that clause in his contract with Donnarumma for like 50 or 100 million, whatever they were talking about. And yeah, it is definitely hard. He's 18. He's 18.
I know.
Like, he's so young. He's not even close to being at the top of his talent. And if he goes to a team like Real Madrid right now, at this age, it would be crazy. Last thing I think, before we conclude this, do you guys think, Michael and Matteo, do you think there's any chance that something is salvaged from this, or it's completely done?
To be honest, I didn't even think...
Can you put anything past this mercato?
No, after this, like I was saying, Higuain's not going to Juve, all this stuff, crazy stuff that I thought was never going to happen, but this literally proved me wrong. How the Serie A, how football really shows that anything can happen, and if anything happens from now, I just wouldn't be surprised for anything.
Just because Fassone said, he's the one who confirmed that it's done, like, he's not going to stay. But Matteo, what do you think?
Just to play a little bit of football manager, but if the funds for Donnarumma were used, well, first off, they need to, they've spent a lot of money, so they're going to have to start selling quite a bit. Hopefully they get money for people like Bacca and a few others going out the window. De Sciglio's another one, but if they can get that money for Donnarumma and then put it towards someone like Andrea Belotti, for example, then I think we're going to forget about Donnarumma very quickly.
Oh, I would love, Belotti staying in the Serie A, I think, is a priority for me. Hopefully he doesn't go to Manchester United or Chelsea. But yeah, I think that there's a lot to talk about for Milan fans, of course. Seems like a bit of a hurtful time, but Matteo, I think you brought up some amazing points and can help console some of the Milan fans right now during this time. So honestly, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, like I was saying before, Michael and I have been trying to figure out a setup, a nice way to bring guests on, and it's amazing to have Matteo be one of the first on our show. So Matteo, it's been an honor, and keep up what you're doing on BN Sports, because you're really pushing so hard for this true English Serie A community that we have, especially on our YouTube channel. They all love you. So if anyone doesn't, go follow him on Twitter and everywhere. And Matteo, anything that you want to say?
No, thanks so much. Hopefully we'll get more Serie A live on the air next season. It's always my goal. Trust me, I always push for that, and I make as much noise as possible. So, this is only going to be great for the Serie A going forward, what Milan are doing. I think it's going to lead to more viewers, and more viewers means more live matches. So there's only positives to take, even though I think the mood has been dampened by this Donnarumma news. Hopefully everyone gets over it very quickly. Because Milan right now, I think there's a lot of room on the bandwagon, and it's probably one of the most exciting teams to be a fan of this summer, finally, after all these years of mediocre.
bigger and better things.
Agreed.
So we're all very happy. Matteo, once again, thank you so much to come on. We're truly honored. And guys, thank you so much for watching this. Comment below your thoughts on everything we had to say, and we'll see you soon. Ciao, ragazzi.